Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me talking like this? Okay. I was told that my main topic tonight would be what is the importance of the evangelical community's support for Israel. Let me tell you one thing. I wouldn't have driven 3.5 hours through terrible weather if I didn't think you were really, really important. I apologize in advance for having to read some of my speech. Usually I just go off the cuff, but then I speak for 2 hours, and Jennifer will pull me off the stage bodily. So I want to be brief, and I want to be within my time frame. I'm very pleased to be here tonight at the Resurrection Life Church in balmy Grandview, Michigan. Representing the Consulate General of Israel to the Midwest, we have 11 states, and Michigan is one of our most important. I especially want to commend, you can clap, it's Michigan. I especially want to commend Pastor Dwayne Vanderklok for hosting this event at Resurrection Life Church with the enthusiastic support of his congregation. I would also like to welcome pastors and congregants from other area churches, as well as members of the Jewish community who are here tonight. And finally, I want to express my great gratitude to the fabulous job that Jennifer Franson has done to coordinate this wonderful event. She was described to me by someone who knew her as a force of nature, and I was not disappointed. And most of all, I want to thank all of you who have gathered here tonight for coming out to show your love and support for the state of Israel, the historic homeland of the Jewish people, and for your prayers for the peace of Jerusalem, Israel's eternal capital. Now I'm going to depress you a little bit. I hope you'll forgive me. Lest we forget why Israel is so important not only to the Jewish people, but to all the peoples on this planet, we need only look to last week. International Holocaust Remembrance Day was observed on January 25th. The date that the Soviet Army liberated the Auschwitz death camp and freed the ragged remnant who survived the Nazi horror. As Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said in his speech to the Knesset, marking this solemn day, 6 years ago, on the first International Holocaust Remembrance Day, Israeli Air Force planes flew over the Auschwitz-Birkenau death camp. When they flew over the camp, the pilots said over the radio, "In the skies over the camp of horrors, we arise from the ashes of millions of victims and carry their silent cry, salute their heroism, and promise to serve as a shield for the Jewish people and our country Israel." Unquote. It was the most eloquent possible way to say, never again will the Jewish people submit to their tormentors. Never again would Jews die without a fight. The Jewish state of Israel, with its unparalleled military prowess, would not allow it. This symbolic flight of Israeli Jewish pilots high over the grounds, beneath which so many Jews were buried, could not show more starkly the historic transformation of the stateless Jewish people from helpless and hopeless victims that can, in the face of a brutal enemy, to a strong, sovereign Jewish state that can defend itself against any nation or terrorist organization that threatens the destruction of Israel and the Jewish people. Then it was the Nazis who tried to perpetrate their final solution. Today it is the Ayatollahs of Iran and their proxies Hezbollah and Hamas who threaten to wipe Israel off the face of the earth and to kill Jews wherever they see them. These messages echo in mosques, schools, and TV programs throughout the Middle East. In these dangerous days, the protests that launched the Arab Spring, which seemed to herald so much promise for a brighter, more democratic, and progressive future for the Arab states of the Middle East, states that had suffered for so long under the onerous yoke of despotic dictators and the brutal militaries that did their repressive bidding with such brutal enthusiasm. Yes, elections were held. For the most part, they seemed to be free of the corruption that characterized the bogus plebiscites held for show by the previous regimes. Unfortunately, the chilling result is that when given a real choice, the peoples of Egypt, Tunisia, and Libya have traded military dictators for Islamist parties. Egypt's Muslim Brotherhood, which won 45% of the vote for a new parliament and whose leaders wasted no time in proclaiming that they would never recognize or negotiate with the, quote, criminal Zionist entity, unquote, leaving serious concerns about the future of the peace treaty between Israel and Egypt that has anchored peace in the region for more than 3 decades. Even more alarming is the fact that compared to the Salafist party in Egypt, which won 25% of the vote, the Muslim Brothers are considered moderates. There's always somebody worse. In this winter of Arab discontent, Yemen is still in chaos. The Syrian regime of Bashar Assad has murdered nearly 6,000 of its own people and tortured and imprisoned many thousands more. Even Western-leaning King Abdullah of Jordan, the only other Arab nation that signed a peace treaty with Israel, is under pressure by quote-unquote populist forces to abrogate the treaty with Israel and cede more control of the country to parties associated with Jordan's branch of the Muslim Brotherhood. I will not delve any further into these issues, which may be addressed by my friend Major Chodoff in his keynote remarks, except to say that in my 15 years at the Israeli consulate, I have never felt that the fate of the Jewish state of Israel and its 6 million Jewish citizens, ironically the same number that perished in the Holocaust, hangs in a more precarious balance than it does today. However, before I depress you any further with these dark scenarios, I want to bring you back to the light of hope. We are not here tonight to mourn the tragedies of the past or to cringe with fear at the clear and present dangers confronting Israel from all sides. No, tonight we are gathered here to honor Israel and to celebrate the wondrous rejuvenation and, yes, the resurrection of the Jewish nation as embodied by Israel out of the ashes of the Shoah, the Holocaust. There could not be a more appropriate place to hold this event than a church named Resurrection Life. Confronted by these global forces threatening Israel, and by extension, Europe, as well as North and South America, you may feel powerless. But I assure you, this is absolutely not the case. Let me tell you how much power you have as the evangelical Christian community to show your support for Israel and change some of these difficult situations. You are already off to a great start simply by coming here today and praying for Israel and the Jewish people. Thank you very much. I understand that an offering will be made. They didn't tell you this yet, but I understand that an offering will be made for bomb shelters. It's never free in synagogues either, by the way. For bomb shelters to protect the innocent Jewish, Christian, and Muslim civilians of Israel. I know that times are tough, and the people of Michigan have had it harder than many Americans. It makes your gift even more generous and more blessed, giving even when it hurts to help others you don't even know. Again, thank you very much. You can help Israel while also helping yourselves by visiting Israel, either with a church mission or on your own. Obviously, tourism dollars are very important to the Israeli economy. Last year was one of the best years for Israeli tourism in a long time. The benefit to Israel is obvious, but how does such a trip benefit you? When you come to Israel, you can experience the real Israel, both the modern, high-tech nation that has become the strongest military and economic power in the region, but also, and probably more important for many of you, Israel. You can experience Israel as the ancient Holy Land, where the Bible comes to life for Christians and Jews. You can walk where Jesus walked and stand on the mount where he preached. Israel is real. It is not a theme park. When you come to Israel, your faith will be refreshed and your spirit will be inspired. It is a religious experience that cannot be duplicated anywhere else in the world. Also, and I know this is a bit of a touchy subject, the one thing the rabbi didn't mention in my introduction is that I am the point person for political affairs at the consulate. I set up meetings with the diplomats for senators, congressmen, governors, etc. I was pleased to meet with the governor of Michigan last summer and encourage him to take the trip to Israel as his predecessors did to enhance Michigan's economy, and you can continue to remind him of that request. And by the way, he does want to go. As you all know, 2012 is an election year, and I know that there are many issues that you have to think about that are confronting you, important issues that affect your everyday life, the economy, jobs, health care, all the issues that you hear the candidates talk about in endless debates, and you hear President Obama talk about in his opportunities. So the one thing you have to do is go out and vote. If you were in Chicago, I'd say you should vote early and often. But of course, we don't do that anymore. But aside from the final act of voting, there is so much that can be done. You can prevent Israel and the U.S. policy in the Middle East from becoming a political wedge issue. Support for Israel should be bipartisan and unanimous. You have an obligation and the right to find out all the candidates' policy positions regarding all aspects of U.S. policy, as well as their positions in Israel, and then take those positions into account as one issue when you enter the voting booth. I know that you will always keep the issue of Israel and the Middle East in your hearts and in your minds. You can support Israel's economy by buying Israeli products. They're very good, especially the wine. And the beauty products for you women out there, fresh from the Dead Sea. It's always ironic. It comes from the Dead Sea, but it enlivens your skin. I don't know how that works, but you can also invest in Israeli companies, some of the most successful stocks on the NASDAQ exchange. More importantly and more ominously, you can help fight the insidious campaign of BDS, which means boycott, divestment, and sanctions. It's boycott of Israeli goods, divestment from companies that do business with Israel, and sanctions against Israel in every international arena. These BDS operations and policies target Israel's legitimacy and right to exist. All of these efforts have one objective: to isolate Israel in preparation for the ultimate destruction of the Jewish state. These campaigns are most prevalent in all kinds of media, but especially on the internet. It is also openly advocated on college campuses. As they say regarding terrorist attacks, if you see something or hear something, say something or write something. Don't let these kinds of campaigns go without a response. Very important. All of these efforts, thank you. All of these efforts to support Israel are essential for guaranteeing Israel's future. It will be a long and arduous struggle, but in the end, with your help and the help of the Jewish people in the United States, there is no doubt in my mind that Israel will emerge victorious and vindicated. Finally, using words that I know resonate in this hall, I ask you to have faith. Faith in the Israeli people. Faith that they will protect and preserve the treasure that is Israel, the Holy Land. The government and people of Israel, with the support and friendship of the government and people of our greatest ally, the United States of America, will continue to pursue peace with security with our neighbors, strong in the unshakable conviction that Israel, the homeland of the Jewish people, will continue to thrive as a light unto the nations and a beacon of hope in the Middle East. God bless Israel, God bless the United States of America, and God bless all of you. Thank you very much.